Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing DaveW in the 15-minute pool on ICC. I'm going to play knight f6 against his d4 opening, and he plays the London system. There's a lot of approaches I could take against this. Makes sense he's playing the London. He's got the nice flag up from the UK, so I think I'll play something sort of flexible. I'll go e6 in this position, and I'm looking to follow with c5 and also b6 later. So I'll play c5. He'll probably play c3. That's what they usually do, and then b6. So this is a flexible line. I can put my bishop on b7, and if I get a chance, I might do an early knight h5 to try to grab the dark square bishop, if possible. So let's go bishop e7 and see if he allows me that. They usually play h3 roundabout here, so I'm not expecting much. He's actually kind of letting me do it if I want. So if I go knight h5 and he goes bishop e5 and then I go d6, can I get away with that? That's the question. I think I'm gonna try it. Yeah, I don't see like a huge drawback to doing this, so I'll see if I can grab that bishop pair, because otherwise he's gonna play h3 and it's not likely that I'll be able to retain or get the bishop pair. So, okay, let's just take on b8 with the rook. Plays knight e5. I wonder if he's going to go bishop f3 here after. But anyways, I have to guard my bishop, or my knight, on h5, so I wonder if he's going to play bishop f3, though. He does not. Okay, I think I should just castle. So we're 10 moves into the game, and I have the bishop pair, otherwise solid position, so no complaints here. Okay, if I was really intent on keeping the bishop pair, I could play d5 or maybe bishop a6. I could also just play d6 here, although he might have knight c6 or bishop takes b7. Queen c7 comes to mind. Queen c7 is where I'm leaning at the moment. Just to prepare d6. I'm leaning that direction. Yeah, let's do that. If he takes it, I think I'll probably take with my queen. I like that a little bit more than taking with the rook. Plays queen e2. Okay. So now I can do this e5 move. Or d6, I mean, attacking e5, I should say. Yeah, let's do that. He can take on b7. I wonder if he takes on b7 if it's worth it for me to take on e5. He takes with his pawn. I wonder if I get any sort of edge out of that. Or if I should just play queen takes b7 and more or less forget about it. So d takes e5, d takes e5, queen takes e5, bishop, let's say a6. Nah, that's nothing for me. D takes e5, d takes e5, take on b7, he takes f6. Also probably not much. You know, I think I'm just going to take with the rook. Earlier I was leaning queen, but I think I like taking with the rook a little bit better in this position because I keep the option of e5 with my queen on c7, helping to protect that square. But mostly I just get to go b5 soon if I want, initiating like a minority attack. I think I'll do that. It's nice to get this move in before he can play a4. A lot of times with this London pawn structure, they'll try to play a4 and lock down the c4 square. So that's a nice idea. I wonder if I can go knight d5 now. Knight d5 hits c3 and b4. You can put a rook on c1, however. I think just rook c8 is probably a good move here. Might play knight b3, though, and try to force me to do something with this pawn here. I don't want to go c4, because if I go c4, he might play a4, and he can kind of control the breaks on the queen side. So knight d5 and also rook c8 are what I'm mainly looking at. Knight d5, what's up with that? Yeah, I'm going to go knight d5. We'll see which rook he puts on c1. I bet he plays rook fc1, because he might want his a rook to remain on this file, especially if he were to play a4 soon. Don't think any other move is really good other than putting a rook on c1, because I am threatening both the pawns on c3 and b4. So I've got a double attack on b4, and knight takes c3 is the threat. So he does play rook c1. Maybe I can go rook c8 now. After which I would be threatening to take on b4. Yeah, that looks okay. Let's do that. He can play e4, although I do get into the f4 square if that happens. Okay, so he plays knight b3, so maybe he's trying to utilize this a5 square. He played that very quickly, too. So now if I take and he takes, his knight helps defend c1. Is knight c3 anything there? Probably not. I don't think so. What if I take, and then just queen b8? How about that? That's also not much. c4 would be an ambitious way to play this position. Letting his knight come into a5 and then just retreating my rook. I actually kind of like that, because I think his knight might be out of play. Let's do that. Originally, I wasn't intending to close down the queenside like this, but I'm kind of thinking if he plays knight a5, despite appearances, that knight is like out of play. Rook b8 or rook b6, does it matter much? Not especially, I don't think. So let's just go here. It's nice because if he plays e4 now, I get to play knight f4 and get into d3. And yeah, this move is expected. But I can just play a6 and, like, what is this knight going to do? How does he ever get his knight out? We'll just take. I mean, he could double on the a file or something, but c3 is a little bit weak still. He should probably play g3 here so he can actually prepare e4 without allowing knight f4. But, yeah, overall, I think I'm doing pretty okay in this position. Yeah, this has got to be a mistake. I think allowing me this move is not smart for white. Granted, he does diminish the pressure on c3 by doing that, but it's very hard to believe that allowing knight d3 is a good idea here for him. Yeah, I'll just bring this guy in. Attacking his rook with tempo. Now I have to figure out how I want to go about playing this position. It's kind of a weird position. I'm tempted just to play rook a8 first of all. Maybe h6 to begin with. Just to take care of any back rank business. Yeah, let's start with h6. And maybe if he moves this knight, it'll be nice for me to have bishop g5. Who knows? Oh, I should not have allowed that move. Yeah, he's going to use the c6 square. Completely should not have allowed that. That's annoying. Okay, I briefly actually looked at the idea of d5 using c6, but somehow it escaped my attention that it was just possible here. All right, so what to do now? So I can take, and put the bishop on f6, hitting c3. He can play knight c6, but I just play rook a8 then. He's going to put a knight on d4, though. I can play e5, but that allows the knight in and really shuts out my bishop. So I don't like that so much. Okay, let's take once. And he's going to take back, and then I'll play the bishop f6 move. That is what I will do. Yeah, let's do that. And knight c6, rook a8 will happen. Because I don't think knight c6, bishop takes c3 works out too well for me. Something about that doesn't seem quite right. Although you never know, that might be interesting. Wow, he doesn't play his knight into c6. Interesting. Well, now I can go rook e8 and hit his queen with tempo, and then maybe take on d4. And then I could take on b4 after that. What's up with that line? So rook e8, he does have queen d2 though, but still take. It's not a good position for him. Pretty shocked he didn't play knight c6. Must have been worried about bishop takes c3. Okay, well, let's just do that. Oh, does he have knight takes b5? Is that his point? Knight takes b5, I have queen d7. I really should have seen knight takes b5 before I played rook e8 just now, though. I'm playing this game fairly early in the morning, at least early for me. It's about 8:30 Central Time. I usually don't play chess this early, but it's Friday and I'm awake, and I figured, why not try to play and maybe catch some of the European players? Because usually I play my games much later at night, US time, and there's not that many European players online. Okay, so queen d2, and here I'm thinking about just taking on d4. And it messes up his pawn structure quite a bit. And that's the primary reason for playing that. Bishop g5 doesn't really do much. Yeah, I think I should take the opportunity to play this move. Like, for sure his next move will be knight c6. There's no doubt about that. What will I do? I mean, rook a8 is indicated. You can also try to go rook e4 and attack that pawn, but knight c6 just keeps everything on lockdown. I think what I'm going to do, so I'm going to play this move, and then when he goes knight c6, I'm going to play queen d7 and try to get my queen to f5. I have to be careful, though, about tactics involving knight e7, but my queen is not well placed right now, so I need to improve its prospects a little bit. So yeah, we'll do that. Maybe I'll throw in king h7 or king h8 soon. But if I had another move, I would not play queen f5 because he could take on a8 and then knight e7 and just win. So, gotta watch out for that tactic. I like that my knight controls the movement of his rook on d1 right now. He might be looking at ways to attempt to contest the file, the a file, but it's not easy. He could go rook a5. Rook a5 would actually be pretty interesting here. Oh yeah, what's up with rook a5? Rook a5 I could take, and then if pawn takes, I might play b4. And I would have two connected past pawns. And if rook a5, rook takes a5, knight takes a5, I'm completely happy with that position. I could continue with queen f5 as I intended. It's kind of complex. I'm down on time, so he's starting to think a little bit. I like my chances. I think I'm better here, but the result of the game will be determined by like who has the more effective knight, respectively, whose pawn structure becomes more dangerous. I think our knights are kind of a wash right now. Like, his knight's pretty strong on c6. I would not dispute that, but so is my knight on d3. But pawn structure-wise, I must be better. I mean, it's almost like playing up a pawn on the queen side just because of his double isolated d-pawns. They do control a lot of territory and anchor his knight here, but this passed c-pawn is such a trump in the long run. So we'll see how he responds to this. I do think it would be nice to make another safety move, like king h7 for me. Rook a5, so he does play this move. I think I should take it, because otherwise rook takes b5. Yeah. Take, b4, a6. Just wondering if that a pawn becomes a problem. You know, it might, but I think this is probably my only decent way of continuing. Oh, I can't play b4 yet. That's important. I thought I could play b4, but he just has knight takes b4. I do have queen f5, though. Queen f5, because knight e7 is no longer an issue with this rook here. So queen f5 could just be good in this position. I think it is. Yeah. And if a6, I just take on d5, attacking his knight. Then his knight has to move. a7, I can just take on c6. Got everything covered. Knight b4. Yeah, but now I can just take and take on d5. There also might be some back rank stuff going on. Attacking f2, that doesn't do much for me, though, at the moment. Yeah, I should just take. I'm just looking to see if I can take advantage of the back rank in any way. I could play rook e2, but he just has rook f1. I probably should just take his pawn. Yeah, let's just take on d5. Don't know if I'm missing anything there, but it's a nice pawn to take. It defends b5 too and also guards the queening square, a8, and defends d6. So, plays a6. Okay, so I can come over here with my rook. Makes sense. And the problem for him is that if he plays rook a1, I can take on d4. That pawn would be hanging. Queen a5. Just thinking queen c6. So his queen can't, like, get in closer. Because if I play rook a7 to blockade the pawn, he has queen b6. Looks annoying. So, yeah, this move is fine. You can play rook a1, though. Kind of has to, actually. Maybe a7 first, but rook a1 coming. So queen b7, rook a1, b4. What's up with that continuation? Looks pretty good. Let's play queen b7. As it forces his hand. So rook a1, b4 is what I'm thinking. Start marching those connectors. And I'm keeping his a pawn under wraps. So nothing doing with that guy. Yeah, I think after rook a1, b4, I don't want to say I'm winning quite yet, but I don't see a defense for him. Also, because of his back rank issue, it's probably going to cost him a tempo at some point to play like h3 or g3 or king f1 or something. So that's nice. So like if rook a1, b4, he can't do anything fancy like, I don't know, rook a4, b3, rook b4, because the back rank stuff keeps him pretty well tied down. Okay, so here I can just take on a7, right? Which way do I want to capture? If rook, is he going to go queen d8? Is that his point? Maybe. Queen takes is pretty safe. If queen takes, he can take on b5, but I take d4. That's got to be winning for me. Yeah, so let's do it this way. Yeah, so queen takes b5, queen takes d4. Grab that pawn. And I bet he makes a left move now, like g3 or h3. Because like I said, if he doesn't, it's going to be an uphill battle for him. Does not make the lift move yet. Okay, anything wrong with rook a1? anything. Queen c8. Ah, that's the thing that's wrong with that move. Okay. Okay. I just gotta play somewhat fast now. I do have 2.5 minutes left only. It's enough time to win this, but I wish I had a little bit more time. Queen there, okay. Queen e4? Sure. Pretty much forces queen d1. Let's just march. I'm sure there's other stuff too, like c3 was probably good in that position as well. But let's just keep marching. Yeah, these pawns have a life of their own. Just d3. Not much he can do now. Rook e2 is now an idea. Getting in, threatening mate. Rook e2, any trouble with that move? Not that I see. He has a couple checks, but that's it. Yeah, there's no good follow-ups. He's got to check on a8, but I just run to h7 and e4 is covered, so no follow-up checks. Yeah, this will be over. I'll be curious to see what the engine thinks about that middle game position we had with his knight coming into c6, especially after he played that d5 move. And he resigned. Okay, let's have a look. So London system, bishop f4, and I played e6. So in this system, black makes a point not to put the pawn on d5. Because since I'm fianchettoing my light square bishop, I really don't want to impede its diagonal by playing pawn d5. So I'm trying to keep that open and flexible. Some people do play d5 in these setups, but I always try to put the pawn on d6 later if I can. Knight h5 is really interesting. I feel like maybe his best way of playing against this is bishop e5. Although if bishop e5, I could arguably just play d6. Yeah, actually, this is fine. There's nothing really doing with bishop b5 or queen a4. I can just block. So, yeah, this is totally fine. So maybe it's more accurate. I'm sure this is like a very booked position in the London, but it might be more accurate for him to play h3 right here. Just so that if knight h5 in the future, he can just drop the bishop back. And that's a constructive move for white under many circumstances. So, and it's a very stereotypical London move. So, castles, knight h5. He took on b8. I recaptured. Yeah, and he plays this. So neutralizing my bishop pair. But I was able to play d6 and eject his knight. Not sure there's a huge difference in the way I capture here. If I intend to play b5 next move, I don't know, maybe it makes slightly more sense to capture with the queen. Let's say takes, and if he goes here, like he did in the game, knight d3 might also be interesting, but let's say he goes here, b5. Then if b4, knight d5 is better, because if he goes rook c1, I can take without fear of like him winning a tempo on the c file when he recaptures. So, maybe queen takes b7 is slightly more accurate. Let's just have a gander at the engine eval. Yeah, it likes queen takes b7 a little bit more. It's probably not really significant though. So here, and now b5 and b4. I like knight d5. Somehow I feel like this should have turned out a little bit better than it did. It's not like white has done anything drastically wrong, though. It's just his position seems a little bit loose to me. But again, let's check the engine. It says c takes b4, c takes b4, rook c8. Interesting. And just occupy the c file. So it'll be hard for him to put a rook on c1, because I am more than willing to take on c1 if that happens. And if knight b3, it likes the look of queen c4. Interesting move. Attacking his queen. Very interesting. And also b4. And if queen d2, I could play knight e4 here. So it actually suggests queen e1 as his best move. And then I can go here. Triple on the c file. That does look pretty nice for me. Even though he can kick my queen out of c4 with a move like knight a5, that c file control is pretty massive. That's an interesting line. Wonder what it thinks about my knight d5 move. Knight d5, rook f c1 here. Again, it likes taking on b4. This time it says just take, and queen d7. Force him to expend a tempo to defend the b4 pawn, and then go rook c8. Okay, probably with the goal, again, of taking over the file. C file. Okie doke. So, going back, I played rook c8. He went knight b3. I did go c4. He jumped into a5. I wonder if it's better for him to go back to d2, though. It seems really weird to go back to d2, but because part of the reason he played knight b3 was to jump into a5, but I don't know that the knight is so great here. The knight is only good here if it can actually get to c6 later. Otherwise, like, where's it going to go? It's not going to come back to b3. Maybe he'll have tactical shots on c4, but I don't think so. So a4, a6. Important I play a6. I want to keep my pawns nice and connected. So I add a supporter to b5, so I can recapture this way. I was expecting a move like g3 in order to play e4 when I don't have knight f4 available. So just covering the f4 square. And I see the engine says I can go ahead and play f5. That's interesting. So trying to cement my knight on d5, make sure he can't go e4. Or if he does go e4, just be able to take and somewhat guarantee the future of this knight here. Yeah, queen d7, and it's hard for him to play rook e1 because I could take on I could take on c3 if he does that. So he played directly. He just played e4. I jumped the knight in. Went here. I got the knight into d3. Yeah, so here I blanked on the possibility of him going d5. If I had thought about that, I think there's a pretty good chance I would have played d5 myself in this position, unless there's something wrong with that. The computer thinks, that he can capture and then play knight e5. I see. So threatening that knight and, again, trying to get something into c6. It actually claims a small edge for white now. Interesting. Because, yeah, I could see that. I mean, if the knights get traded and this bishop is just hitting against a wall of pawns, it's hard for me to claim any advantage. Computer actually, well, for a second it liked the move that I played, h6. It might be the case that d5 like isn't that big of a deal, and maybe the game continuation is illustrative of that. So d5, I took, yeah, seems normal. Then bishop f6. Now I was expecting him just to dive in with knight c6, but maybe this is possible. Hitting the rook, hitting the pawn. Kind of dismissed it in view of that, but oh, I have rook b7. Really? Doesn't that drop the exchange though? Take, knight e7.
Check.
Let's say king h8. Take. Okay, so even though I'm losing the exchange, this pawn is as good as dead. And I guess the engine thinks that my protected passed pawns are going to be pretty valuable here. Let me turn this off for a second. So rook a7 was not that big of a deal, I guess. Because I thought he should play knight c6. And I don't know, I had 7.5 minutes left if he had done that. And I would have been debating between bishop takes c3 and rook a8. Maybe rook b7, but probably rook b8 more likely. Because I don't want to end up in a position like this. I think this could be annoying, where his knight on d4 is protected multiple ways, and even if I were to drive his queen away somehow, I can't play bishop takes d4 with the intention of forcing him to take with a pawn, since he would have knight takes d4, unlike the game. So that's why it seemed to me he should play knight c6, but that bishop takes c3 move, being willing to sacrifice the exchange, does look pretty convincing, actually. Yeah, he could even do this right now, although his rook is hanging on a1, so I could go and take that, I guess. Unless he has something with queen e8. But even here, if I had to play, I don't know, let's say queen takes c8, this is probably still good for black, too. I'm sure I have great compensation. So he ended up playing knight d4, and then I played rook e8. Here, take. Yeah, I like the way I played this after this capture on d4. So rook a8, he went here, queen d7. This looks like a critical position. I feel like his position is teetering over the precipice right now. If he's not careful, I think his next move could be disastrous. It's hard to find a move for him, though, because my idea is I want to go queen f5, but again, I can't do that right away because the e7 square is a little tender. So my next move will be like king h7 or king h8, more than likely, and then preparing queen f5. And if he doesn't have a good counter-argument to that, he can kiss that d5 pawn goodbye, and so goes the d5 pawn, so goes his position, as evidenced by the game. So let's just see what the engine thinks is his best chance here. Yeah, engine thinks he's probably dead. So it says rook a5 is his best move. g5. Wow. Yeah, there's zero chance I would have played g5 in this position. What is g5 all about? Why would black do that? Is that like to prepare knight f4 or something? It must be. I do not get that move at all. And if there's a capture here, knight f4 is just really good for black. I don't think any human in their right mind would think of g5 in this position. If they did, it would not be on their top 5 moves, I'll tell you that. I just took. Yeah, b takes. Because if he goes knight takes, I'm still getting at this pawn with absolutely zero risk. So, yeah, b takes, queen f5. I was expecting a6, but he brought the knight back. Take, queen takes. I was wondering if there was some sort of back rank threat I could create here. But his queen is still eyeing the e1 square, so I can't just purely deflect his rook. I see the engine thinks rook e2 is good. I thought about that briefly, but I thought this was just simpler. Queen takes d5. Here, rook a8. Yep. Queen a5, queen c6. a7 he played. Yeah, if he had gone rook a1... What was I thinking on rook a1? Can't recall exactly what I was thinking if he had played that move. Maybe c3? I don't know. c3 or b4, one of the two. Maybe rook a1 slightly better, though. Because after a7, queen b7, my queen is in a position to support the b pawn. And if he were to go rook a1 here, and then b4, yeah, he's just losing. And I mentioned his back rank doesn't help him either. That will probably cost him a key tempo. Like, let's say he plays rook b4 in this position, and I go b3, and he goes rook b4 now. In addition to being able to take this pawn, I could probably just do something like this, and it'd be really good too. Oh, I guess I have to be more careful here. He does have rook b8. Yeah, so probably something like this, or rook takes a7. Yeah, like rook takes a7 is possible, because even though he has check. Queen d8 check, and then here, he can't take my queen. It's rook a1 mate. So, interesting. And I think I played it okay in time pressure. So, take on a7. He took b5, and I took here. There were a couple traps. Like, if I was trying to simplify with rook a1, I would have ran into this move check. And then if king here, he gives this check, and he escapes with a draw, I believe. g6, he has queen takes f7, so I'd probably go back and it'd be a
Check.
perpetual check. So that's one way to go wrong. So rook e8, he brought the queen back to f3, and queen e4, yeah. And if he trades queens, it's over. Those pawns are too strong. But this is not much better either. Yeah. Okay. Well, very interesting London game against Mr. DaveW from the UK. And hope you guys enjoyed that one. Please leave me any feedback in the comments as usual, and I'll be back tomorrow with another standard game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.